What Lonzo Thinks is a wide-ranging, free-flowing discussion where I offer up my unsolicited views on everything from music, movies, sports, religion, politics, pop culture, you name it. If it's happening, I'm talking about it. As usual, my thoughts are unsolicited, but I give them anyway, and thanks for listening. All right, next on my list of PRiNCe reviews, well, actually, I'm going to do something a little different this time. I'm going to reveal my favorite song from each PRiNCe release, each studio release. What I've been doing in the past is a retrospective review of each PRiNCE album from the beginning to, sadly, the end. But I've been getting a lot of responses from my listeners out there. And by the way, thanks for listening and thanks for responding. I do appreciate your responses. They are very valuable to me. But folks are always asking me, what's your favorite song from each record? Favorite song from each record? Favorite song from each record? Okay, well, I figured I'd just double back and reveal my favorite song from each studio release. And then, of course, I'll jump back into my record reviews as I have a few more left to go in that retrospective review as well. I promise I won't say anything about Tony M. You know why? Because on my favorite songs, I don't think Tony M's on any of them. And if he is, I'll say something about him. But I'll keep it limited. Some folks have been saying some things to me about my vitriol towards Tony M and my hatred towards him. So and my hatred towards Tony M is well founded. It is rooted in a great love for PRiNCE and his music. And it's not anything personal against Tony M. Well, I guess it is personal against Tony M because he's a terrible rapper. Anyways, I'm not going to harp on Tony M this time around. I promise. I'll keep it to a limit. Okay. All right, so what I'll do is I'll just start from the very first PRiNCE record and just go through to the very last one and give you each song that is my favorite and give you a brief reason as to why. Now, first of all, before I get started, the criteria that I'm using when it comes to my favorite song from each record is I like to use the analogy, if I was on a desert island and I can only listen to one song from this record, which song would it be? Or if someone put a gun to my head and said, hey, you can only listen to one song to save your life from this record, which song would it be? So that's my, so these might not be the best songs on the record, but it's the songs that I like most from that particular record that I would absolutely listen to if that was the only song I could pick, if I only had one song to pick from that record. So that's my criteria. All right, first of all, from the first album, For You, my first song is I'm Yours. As far as I'm Yours goes, this was the song that let me know that PRiNCE was something special and something different. It's a rock tune, and it displays his magical ability with the guitar and his vocals. I mean, he was a teenager when he made this record, and his vocals are so mature and so strong. His voice is just cuts through the record like butter, and his guitar playing is just so exquisite. It is just majesty to listen to. This song has never gotten old for me. I listen to it over and over and over again. It never, ever, ever gets old. It is a wonderful song, one of my favorite PRiNCE songs of all time, and I would absolutely positively listen to this record over and over again if it was the only one I could listen to from this particular album, because it never gets old. Never. All right, next up is his self-titled second album, and my favorite tune, or the tune that I would choose, is Bambi. And once again, Bambi is a rock-flavored tune, just like I'm Yours. This was a tough one because there are so many great tunes on this record. Of course, Why You Won't Treat Me So Bad, I Want to Be Your Lover, which was his first major hit. But for me, Bambi, I love the guitar playing, I love the voice, I love his falsetto, I love the subject matter. Bambi, the guitar lick on Bambi is just magical once again. And it's a song that really can't be replicated. I don't think anyone else could ever sing Bambi and do it justice but PRiNCE himself. Just a magical song. If you never heard Bambi, what are you waiting on? Put it in right now, listen to it, and you'll see why. Because the subject matter for that time, for that day and age, he's talking about a lesbian, and that was just cutting edge. And it just kind of shows you what he was about and what was to come from him in the future. Okay, next up, from the third album, Dirty Mind, is Head. Once again, this was a tough choice. So many great songs from the Dirty Mind LP, one of the greatest LPs ever released, and of course, one of Prince's all-time best as well. But Head, I love the melodies from Head. I love the instrumentation. I love the lyrics. I love his vocals, and the subject matter. Once again, this is one of the nastiest songs he's ever done. And it's funny because I think I said this in my previous review. Back in the day, they played Head on the radio. I didn't know what the song was about. I was a kid, of course, and really back then there was a song called The Head. So I thought that was what the song was about. Shows how ignorant I was. But obviously he's talking about giving and receiving oral sex. And they actually played this on the radio. And it just shows you how times have changed, because they played this on WIBB, AM station that I listened to back in Warner Robins, Georgia. And it was played uncensored. I guess nobody was smart enough to figure out back then what it was about. But it was adults playing it, so I never understood that. But great song. And if I had a choice of any song from Dirty Mind, it would have to be Head. Next up from Controversy, the title track, Controversy. Now this was a really tough one for me because I love Do Me Baby as well. But I think Controversy is one of his strongest title tracks. And once again, the guitar playing, the subject matter, the vocal arrangement, the musical arrangement, and once again, the subject matter wins it out for me. Do Me Baby is a great slow jam, and you always need a slow jam. But once again, having to split hairs, I go with Controversy. Next up from 1999. Now, 1999 is my favorite Prince LP of all time. I think it's his best record, and I think it's one of the greatest albums ever made in the history of mankind. And I've said this before. There are 11 songs on 1999. Each and every song, in my opinion, is a fucking masterpiece, a stone cold masterpiece. Every song, and when I say I'm splitting hairs, I'm splitting hairs by like millimeters. I mean, it is razor thin between each song as to what would be the song that I would choose to listen to the most. But the winner from 1999 is Something in the Water Does Not Compute. Something in the Water is such a futuristic song. And it's a song that, if it was released today, I think it would be a hit. It was ahead of its time, and I love the vocalization. Once again, I love the instrumentation. I love the subject matter. I love the lyrics. Must be something in the water they drink. It's been the same with every girl I've had. Must be something in the water they drink. Why else would a woman want to treat a man so bad? Whew. Great song from a great album. And once again, it was splitting hairs. It was a hard decision, but Something in the Water Does Not Compute wins out. Next up from Purple Rain, When Doves Cry. And I've said before in some podcasts and some conversations with Prince fans and everything that When Doves Cry is a song that I use kind of like as a litmus test to see whether or not, when I'm talking to someone about Prince, whether or not they're a legitimate Prince fan. When I say legitimate is, you can be a Prince fan. There are millions of Prince fans who just know his commercial catalog. But there's a difference between being a Prince fan and being a true Prince fan, in my opinion, where you're like really dig into the minutia of the artist and really get what he's saying in every record and really dig into his catalog. And I always use When Doves Cry as a litmus test. I ask folks, well, what's your favorite Prince song? And if they say When Doves Cry, I usually tune them out. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but to me, you're just not a true Prince fan if When Doves Cry is your favorite song. Not that it's a bad song. When Doves Cry is probably one of his 20 best songs ever. It is a magnificent song. It is a masterpiece. And I can listen to it over and over and over again. But I think because it was one of his most commercially successful songs is the reason why a lot of people latch onto it. That doesn't make it a bad song. But to me, if When Doves Cry is your favorite Prince song, you probably haven't heard all of his stuff or really dug into the minutia of what he does. That's me being a crass, snobbish, stuck-up, arrogant Prince fan. But hey, everybody has their faults. Maybe that's mine. But for the purposes of this list, When Doves Cry is that song. Of course, Purple Rain is magic on wax. So is Let's Go Crazy, Darling Nikki, Computer Blue, Sean Hill, his favorite song. Rest in peace, Sean. But for me, I would go with When Doves Cry, and once again, Splitting Hairs. Next up, from Around the World in a Day, once again, Splitting Hairs, Temptation is a song that I would go with. To me, Temptation is a song that the layperson has never heard. Most Prince fans, if you say Temptation, like, what are you talking about? It's the last track on Around the World in a Day. It's like, once again, it's a guitar heavy track, and it's about his battle, his inner battle between good and evil, and him fighting sexual temptation. And it's a meandering song. It's a powerful song. It really takes you from A to Z, and the power of that song really moves me. It really moves me. And I guess if you're stuck on a desert island and you don't need something that's going to take you places, and Temptation definitely takes me places. Next up, from Parade, Kiss. Of course, Kiss is one of his all-time biggest hits and one of his greatest songs, and it's an easy choice from the Parade album. Parade, of course, was the soundtrack to Under the Cherry Moon. If you've seen my Under the Cherry Moon review and my review of Parade, you kind of know my thoughts on that. I'm kind of lukewarm to that whole Parade Under the Cherry Moon era, so to speak. But he did come up with some gems, and Kiss is the gem of that era. Next up is Sign of the Times. And my favorite Prince song of all time is Dorothy Parker, the Ballad of Dorothy Parker. I think this is the greatest song ever written in the history of man. I fully, totally, honestly believe that, and I would take it to the grave. Dorothy Parker is Prince's best song ever, and I think it's the best song I've ever heard in my life from any artist, anywhere, any genre. It is just that magnificent. I can go on and on and on about how deep this song is. And one of the things that I always say about it, and I feel strongly about, is that it's the most visual song I've ever heard in my life. You can close your eyes, and if you close your eyes and listen to this song, it takes you exactly where Prince wants you to go. It takes you into that diner with him and this waitress, and him waxing poetic about his relationship with the lover's past. The instrumentation is such a simple instrumentation, but the sounds that he came up with for this record, it just exquisite, just magnificent, and his vocalization is. I've tried to describe this song many a time, and it's hard. It's a song that's really hard to describe. You gotta listen to it and just let it take you over. And this song took me over, and it takes me over every time I hear it. It is just a magnificent song, and it's the greatest song I've ever heard in my life. And I can listen to it over and over and over again, and it never, ever, ever gets old. The Ballad of Dorothy Parker. I'm going to shut up now because I can go on and on about this song. Trust me on this. If you've never heard it, please listen to it. Close your eyes, turn the lights off, listen to the fucking song, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Please do that. And if you do that, hit me up and let me know what you think. If it's your first time listening to it in that context, do that. Hit me up and let me know what you think. Am I off base? I could be. Who knows? But it's my opinion, so I'm sticking with it. But please, if you do listen to it, let me know. Thanks. Next up, from the Black Album, is Bob George. Now, the Black Album, of course, we all know it got released and didn't get released. It's the most heavily bootlegged album in the history of mankind and everything. But I always follow the natural timeline. So I go with Bob George as the album that followed Sign of the Times. And Bob George is, of course, my number one pick from this particular record. Once again, it's Splitting Hairs. La Grind was a close second, along with Rock Hard in a Funky Place. But Bob George wins out. Now, with Bob George, it's kind of like a rap record if you think about it. He's not singing. He's actually talking, and the beat, the music instrumentation, the subject matter is just so engaging. And it's probably the one song from this record where somebody hears it like, hey, wait a minute, what's going on? Who's that? It's a song that really engages people. And it's a fun song as well. It's funny, and it's funny, I think, without intentionally being funny, but some of the things he just says. Who? Prince? Ain't that a bitch? That skinny motherfucker with the high voice? Please. Who do it look like, baby? Yesterday's fool? Don't you know I will kill you now? You're fucking right. I got a gun. It's gangster. Prince being gangster. What can I say? It wins. Next up is Anastasia from Love Sexy. Love Sexy is one of my favorite Prince records of all time. For a while, it was number one on my list, but of course, 1999 has retaken that spot, followed by Sign of the Times, followed by Love Sexy. Now, Love Sexy, it's that record where on the CD you couldn't skip tracks, and that frustrated a lot of people, but I don't care. I thought it was ingenious. He wanted you to listen to it as a concept, as one cohesive work of art, and not something separated by tracks. Great. Anastasia is the strongest song on this record. It's a Syrian ballad that is really spiritual, and once again, it's very visual, and the instrumentation and his vocalization on this record really moves me. And it has one of my favorite verses of all time, my favorite Prince verses of all time. Gregory looks just like a ghost, and then a beautiful girl the most. What's the lips to say? We could live for a little while. If you just learn to smile, you and I could fly away. That's deep. I like that. All right. Next up, from Batman, Electric Chair. This, once again, Splitting Hairs barely wins out over Vicky Waiting. But I love the instrumentation once again on Electric Chair. I like the fact that of course he sang every song from a viewpoint, from the vantage point, perspective of the characters. And this particular record is from the viewpoint or perspective of the Joker. If a man is considered guilty for what goes on in his mind, then give me the electric chair for all my future crimes. Deep. Next up, from Graffiti Bridge, which is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. And check out my review of the Graffiti Bridge record and the Graffiti Bridge movie, and you'll see exactly what I mean. The film was fucking awful, but there was some great music on that record and in that movie. And my favorite is Weekend Funk, which was this song. There are a lot of different versions of this song. It's on the extended re-release of Purple Rain as Weekend Fuck. There's a bootleg version of it that I have as well. And there are different incarnations of this song, and the one that is on Graffiti Bridge is kind of like a streamed down version of the one that is on the Purple Rain extended album re-release. He did it with George Clinton, but the original track, of course, from Purple Rain is just Prince by himself. And really, if you listen to the one on the Graffiti Bridge record, you really don't. Is more Prince than George Clinton anyway. So, but it's very fun. It's a fun song. I love the vocalization, and his screams and yells, his overdubs are just magical on this particular record. And I like how it's kind of like a free flowing ad lib type of a song, and it really fits. It really fit that particular LP. Too bad it was for a shitty movie. Next up, Live for Love. Oh, damn. I got a song with Tony M. Oh, my God. Okay. Live for Love from the Diamonds and Pearl LP. And Diamonds and Pearl, of course, is one of my least favorite Prince records. But Live for Love is a great song in spite of Tony M. As I said before, Tony M is the worst rapper in the history of rappers. And he really sullied Prince's catalog. He's the black mark. He's the Prince Antichrist. I said it, I meant it, and I stand by it. Love you, Tony M. You the man. You achieved a dream. Too bad you didn't have the talent to. You didn't have the talent to actually make it worthy of a Prince record. But anyways, Live for Love. I love the guitar in this song. It's once again a rock tent song. He's talking about being a fighter pilot and thinking about over his life and how he got to the place where he is. So it's a deep song. And in spite of Tony M, usually when it gets to the Tony M part, either I just kind of block it out or I just turn it off. But the parts without Tony M, magical, great song. If you don't listen to it, I understand why, because of Tony M's presence. But like I said, just kind of pretend he's not there, and it's still a great song. All right, next up is from the Symbol LP, 3 Chains of Gold. Once again, it's hard because there's so much Tony M on this record. He just poisoned this record with his presence, and it's a great album, obviously in spite of Tony M. But it just makes it really hard for me to listen to this, listen to this album as a cohesive work of art because of his presence. And but my choice from this record is 3 Chains of Gold. I like it. It has like an operatic feel to it. It's a big song. It's PRiNCE is good at big songs, big sprawling songs that when he doesn't overproduce them, they really come out great. And once again, the instrumentation, the guitar, and the way he closes out this song, like the last 30 seconds or so of this song, I love it. I love it how he at the very end, he's like he's losing his breath. He's like trying to catch his breath. He goes, and then he lets out that last final scream. It's just amazing to me. 3 Chains of Gold, great song. My favorite song from the Love Symbol LP. In spite of Tony M's presence on this record, at least he wasn't on 3 Chains of Gold. Next up from Come, I picked Space. This was really hard because I love Come. I love... Okay, that didn't come out right. I love the song Come. You should do that, baby. Here's the reason why. But my favorite song is the song that I would pick is Space. Once again, it's a very visual song. It's about masturbation, of course, and his lust for sex. And Space is I love the melody and instrumentation. Once again, he has some great verses, some great lyrics on this particular record. I've had dreams of us cuddling on the planet Mars. Then when I wake up, ooh, I'm all covered in sex, with all eyes that fall somewhere between rubies and stars. Don't leave me, baby, or I'll flex. Enough said. Space. Great song. But I love Come as well. All right, next up from the Gold Experience, I pick Dolphin. If I came back as a dolphin, would you listen to me then? That says it all. It's once again, it's that deep visual PRiNCE song that he is so good at. And he's good at metaphors and analogies and twisting your mind and making you really learn something from his music. I'm sure if you went to somebody on the street and say, "Hey, PRiNCE Dolphin," they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" It's not a song that was very popular, I guess, and it was never released as a single. So really, if someone knows Dolphin, that means they really listen to the record. But Dolphin is my favorite song from this record and one of my all-time favorite PRiNCE songs. Next up from Chaos and Disorder, I choose Chaos and Disorder, the title track. Of course, the Chaos and Disorder record was kind of a dump from Warner Brothers as his contract with them was running out. They just kind of started dumping music on the market with little or no promotion, and PRiNCE wasn't giving a damn at this time anyway, so he wasn't really promoting anything that had Warner Brothers stench on it. So Chaos and Disorder kind of came and went with very little fanfare. It didn't stick around very long, but Chaos and Disorder, the title track, is a strong track. The album itself is weak, so it's not really saying a whole lot that I choose Chaos and Disorder. But for the purposes of this particular podcast, Chaos and Disorder is the song that I would go with. It's not a terrible song, and I do listen to it from time to time, and I do like the subject matter. Next up, from Emancipation. Now, this was another tough one. I choose Soul Sanctuary. Now, my favorite song is Right Back Here in My Arms. And Soul Sanctuary is a close second. And the reason why I choose Soul Sanctuary is because this is a song that most reminds me of my children, my twins, Noah and Mackenzie. And I've said this before, when my kids were born, I put together a video of them from their birth they were premature and they had to stay in the hospital for a couple of weeks before they came home. So I did a video log of them coming into the world up until them coming home for the first time. And the music that I used was Soul Sanctuary. So every time I hear this song, I think about my two beautiful children, Noah and Mackenzie. They're 13 now. They just turned 13 a few weeks ago, and they are the light of my life. So every time I hear this song, it makes me think of them. So if I'm on a desert island, damn it, Soul Sanctuary is on heavy rotation. Next up, from Crystal Ball, another tough choice, Days of Wild. I love the title track, Crystal Ball. I love Calhoun Square, Tomorrow, Goodbye. There are a lot of great songs on the Crystal Ball LP, but the winner is Days of Wild. Once again, this is a big song. It's live on this particular record, and once again, his vocalizations and the instrumentation is a rap and sing type of a song. I'm gonna tear shit up, y'all. That's my style. These are the Days of Wild. It's a fun song. It's a kinetic song, and to hear him play it live is magical. I have heard him play it live before, and it's just a magical song. Next up, from the vault, Old Friends for Sale, I choose 5 Women. Now, the vault is a record I was always kind of mad at because once again, it kind of like Chaos and Disorder. It just got dumped. I think it was the song. It was the last release from Warner Brothers. They totally dumped this record on us with like no fanfare. Prince didn't give a damn. Warner Brothers didn't give a damn. Then you shouldn't give a damn. But 5 Women is a great song, and that's the one that I choose from this particular record. From Brave Unto the Joy Fantastic, I choose The Sun, Moon, and Stars. It narrowly beat out the title track, Rave Unto the Joy Fantastic. This was Prince's pandering album. He pandered big time on this one. He also pandered on Diamonds and Pearls, but it's pandering on Rave Unto the Joy Fantastic. It took pandering to a whole new level. I think he mocked or mimicked or followed up on Santana's Supernatural. He tried to recreate the magic of Santana's Supernatural by having a lot of guest artists on this record, and it just didn't work. It didn't work because the songs with the guest artists were horrible, especially Hot With You, one of the worst songs he's ever done. He did that one with Eve, and that was back when she was popular, coming off the success of the song she did with Gwen Stefani, Let Me Blow Your Mind. And conversely, Gwen Stefani is on this record too, with Prince on another song. I think So Far So Pleased was that song. But from that record, I choose The Sun, Moon, and Stars, which is just Prince by himself. And the songs where it's strictly Prince are the best songs on the Rave Unto the Joy Fantastic album. And the best of those songs is The Sun, Moon, and Stars. It's a fun song to listen to. Mellow, laid back, keeps me going. Next up, She Loves Me For Me from the Rainbow Children. Now, the Rainbow Children is one of his least known works and one of his best works. It is one of the deepest concept records that he's ever done, and it is jazz infused. It's a fusion type record, and the best of those songs to me is She Loves Me For Me. And it's a straightforward ballad. I just love, once again, the subject matter and what he's saying, the vocalization and the lyrical content really wins it out for me. Plus the jazzy feel to it. Next up, Expectation from Expectation, the LP. Expectation is a jazz album. It's all instrumental jazz. So it's kind of hard to really differentiate the tracks. But I think the unique thing about this particular record is every song starts with the letter X. So it's Expectation without the E at the front. But of all the instrumentals, Expectation is the one that I listen to the most. Next up is another instrumental jazz. That's from News, News, which is North, East, West, and South. This record only has 4 tracks. Each track is named North, East, West, and South. So I pick East from the North, East, West, and South record. And I think he made this. This was to help benefit the Hurricane Katrina disaster. And each song is about like 13 to 14 minutes long. And once again, it's a jazz record. All of the tracks are strong. I've always loved Prince's forays into jazz, and I've said this more than once. I think Prince would have been a magnificent jazz artist if that was all they concentrated on. His jazz music, his jazz releases are great. From Madhouse to Expectation to News, Rainbow Children, his forays into jazz are magnificent. And East is the best of those from that particular record that I would go with. Next up, from Musicology, I choose Illusion, Coma, Pimp, and Circumstance. I don't know why. It's a fun song. It's not his best work, but on this particular record, that's the song that continually grabs me whenever I listen to this album. It's the one that grabs me the most, so that's what I'll go with, is Illusion, Coma, Pimp, and Circumstance. I just like it. It's just a fun song about a guy with a sugar, not a sugar mama, not a sugar daddy. He has a sugar mama that takes care of him. So he basically, you know, he has sex for the woman taking care of him, whatever. Anyways, 3121 from the record 3121, the title track. The 3121 record is kind of like a forgotten album, but it's a really good album. It's the one that had Black Sweat on it. That was the big hit. A lot of folks don't like Black Sweat because it was kind of annoying, I guess, because the music was kind of repetitive. I kind of get that, but it's still a good song. But anyways, 3121 is my favorite from this particular record. Look over there. There's another turn on. Butterfly scared. They're going to be awake all night long. Dancing in your belly like a ballerina. In spite of your efforts to calm them down. I like that. It's kind of like in the Camille type voice. I like when he does his voice like that. But 3121 is the record from that particular album that I would go with. Next up, from the Planet Earth LP, is Future Baby Mama, which is a slow jam. I think it's the first slow jam that I have on here, the first pure slow jam that I have on here. This is, ahead of International Lover, which I think is one of the greatest slow jams ever written, of course. Scandalous and Do Me Baby. But from this particular record, Future Baby Mama is my favorite track, followed by Guitar. And I would definitely need to have a slow jam on this island that I'm on. So Future Baby Mama is one that wins. Next up, from what's the name of his record? Good Lord, Lotus Flower. The Lotus Flower LP is Colonized Mind. Now, I haven't talked about Colonized Mind before because I haven't gotten to my review of Lotus Flower yet. But Colonized Mind, I think, is the best Prince song, from the second half of his career. And when I say second half of his career, I kind of split Prince's career at the Batman album. That's where I split it, because that's when he started overproducing his tracks and started to fall off a little bit as far as his overall popularity and significance in the musical industry, and when he started to pander a little bit, because before Batman, every album that he released was a masterpiece, in my opinion. There's not a bad song on any record Prince released prior to Batman. So Colonized Mind, I think, is his best release, his best record, his best song after the fall off, so to speak. The decline, or the second half of his career. Colonized Mind is the absolute best song. I love this song. I can listen to it over and over and over again. Just like Dorothy Parker. It's one of those songs that really just grabs me. And you got to hear it, understand. The subject matter is just magnificent. And I'll speak more about it when I do my Lotus Flower review, but Colonized Mind is that song. Next up, from the LP 2010, is Lay Down. Compassion is great as well, but Lay Down is the song that I would go with. 2010 is one of his most forgotten records. It didn't do much on the charts. It was released with very little fanfare, but it was a solid release. It really was. It wasn't a hit, but it was a solid release. And Lay Down is a song that I've seen him perform live. And the live version is really good, and that makes it, the song that I would choose from this particular record. Next up, from Plectrum Electrum, is Wow. The Plectrum Electrum record with Third Eye Girl Really good record. Really good. One of his best releases, in the latter part of his life. And of those records, Wow is the one that I would go with. I love the vocalization. I love the hook. You can call it Wow. Great song. Listen to it. It's still fresh. Listen to it. Next up from Artificial Age is Breakdown, which is another slow jam. Breakdown harkens back to the early Prince with his sonic screams and his heartfelt, deep lyrics, and the song really grabs you as a slow ballad, and it's the best song from the Artificial Age record if you ask me. And Artificial Age was great as well. A lot of good songs on Artificial Age. Don't miss it. But Breakdown is the best from that one. And really, Breakdown's a great song to get busy to, if you know what I'm talking about, guys and girls. All right, next up, from Hit and Run Phase 1, This Could Be Us. Hit and Run Phase 1 really didn't do a whole lot for me. It's a solid release, but This Could Be Us is my favorite from that particular record, other than the fact that, for no other reason other than the fact that it kind of just wins out. And finally, from Hit and Run Phase 2 is Screwdriver. And Screwdriver is my favorite because for some reason my son likes that song. And he always wants to hear Screwdriver. So it's a nondescript song. Nothing really special about it. But it makes me think of my son. And whenever my son, he's not really big into music. But when he says, "Hey, Daddy, play that for me again," I got to give it some significance. So Screwdriver is the song that I would choose from Hit and Run Phase 2. And that does it for my list of my favorite songs from each record and the song that I would choose if I was stuck on a desert island and had to listen to only one song from each LP. And that's 34 songs from 34 releases. I call them studio releases that I would choose. And what do you think? What are your choices? Hit me up. Let me know what you would choose from each record. What song would you choose? I want to know. And I think we can have a nice discussion about that. So what are your thoughts? Am I off base? And do you agree with most of my assessments? And what's your assessment? Hit me up. Give me your thoughts below. Subscribe. And just chime in. Hit me up on Twitter at WhatLonzoThinks or Gmail, WhatLonzoThinks@gmail.com. And I am on Patreon, so your continued support is invaluable. Thank you so much. I've said this before. Thank you so much for your comments and your support. I get so many comments from people nowadays, especially on my PRiNCe reviews. I think it's the most popular content that I have so far on my channel. I try to do other stuff, obviously like movies and sports and politics and everything. But there's a lot of PRiNCe fans out there just like me. So I really appreciate your feedback. It is invaluable to me. And it feels good to know what other people think as well. So yeah, let me know what you think about my thoughts on these particular records. Am I off base? If I am, tell me why. We can have a lively debate on it. Curse me out if you want. Oh, by the way, I've got a lot of, like I said, I've got a lot of good responses on my Tony M release, or my Tony M podcast. So Tony M, if you're listening out there, man, hey, your popularity is alive and well. Your infamy is alive and well. But yeah, hit me up and let me know what you think at What Lonzo Thinks. This is my list of my favorite songs from each record that I would have to listen to if I was on a desert island and could only listen to one song from each record. That is what I would listen to. 34 tracks. What do you think? Please let me know, because this is What Lonzo Thinks.